She was called the other Bouvier girl. Graceful, magnetic, and forever compared to her sister, Jacqueline Kennedy. Lee Radziwill lived a life framed by beauty and competition. A woman who had everything but peace. Behind her famous smile were scandals that rewrote family history. Forbidden loves, royal bloodlines, and a will that cut deeper than any argument. Before Jackie came along, the billionaire was hers. Lee Radziwill met Aristotle Onassis years before he became Jacqueline's husband. According to People magazine, Radziwill dated Onassis before he married Kennedy Onassis in 1968. In the early 1960s, Onassis was openly fascinated by both sisters. He called Lee magnetic and regal, and as Vanity Fair recalled, he even brought both women aboard his yacht Christina after the death of the Jackie's newborn son, Patrick, in 1963. It was Lee who convinced him to invite her sister, an act that changed history. The cruise marked the beginning of Jackie's bond with Onassis, which ended in their controversial marriage 5 years later. Could Onassis truly have loved both sisters, or was it all part of a billionaire's calculated game? The forbidden rumor: a president and a princess. There's a rumor so scandalous that even the most seasoned Kennedy biographers approach it with caution. In The Fabulous Bouvier Sisters, authors suggest that Lee may have had a brief affair with her brother-in-law, President John F. Kennedy. InStyle highlighted the book's shocking claim. In the closing pages, it's revealed that Lee may have slept with JFK. Writer Gore Vidal fueled the gossip by recalling how Lee's first husband, Michael Canfield, allegedly told him, "She went too far. She slept with Jack in the next room and then bragged about it. No proof ever surfaced, and historians still dismiss it as pure speculation." But the rumor refused to die. The idea that rivalry and desire had crossed into betrayal. Was it an invention of jealous tongues, or the missing piece that explains their lifelong tension? The will that erased a sister. When Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis died in 1994, one name was missing from her will: her sister's. "I have left nothing to my sister Lee because I have already done so during my lifetime," Jackie wrote. Yet her words raised more questions than they answered. Irish Central later described Lee as blacklisted, excluded due to alleged resentment over her closeness with Onassis, or even the whispered affair with JFK. Only Lee's children, Anthony and Tina, received $500,000 each, a token gesture from Aunt Jackie. Friends said Lee, who once comforted her sister through assassination and widowhood, was shattered. Why did the sisters reach this final distance? And what did Jackie truly mean by, "I've already done so in life"? The husband who might have been a royal secret. Lee's first husband, Michael Temple Canfield, carried his own mystery. They married in 1953, when she was just 20 at the height of her debutante fame. Charming, Harvard-educated, and impeccably mannered, Canfield served at the U.S. Embassy in London, yet whispers surrounded him from birth. According to memoirs of the Duchess of Westminster, even King Edward VIII believed Canfield was the illegitimate son of his brother, Prince George, Duke of Kent, and the infamous American socialite Kiki Preston. That would make him, in a sense, a hidden prince. The claim was never proven, but high society adored the mystery. Their marriage dissolved by the late 1950s and was annulled by the church in 1962. In 1969, Canfield died suddenly of a heart attack on a transatlantic flight. As one columnist quipped, even his death was discreetly aristocratic. The prince who made her a princess and broke her heart. In 1959, Lee married Prince Stanisław Radziwiłł, a Polish-Lithuanian nobleman and war hero. With him came the title, Her Serene Highness, a London mansion, and access to Europe's elite. Lee called him dynamic, irrational, perhaps cruel, but mesmerizing. Together, they hosted presidents and fashion icons at their estate Turville Grange, where the Kennedys often stayed. During the early 1960s, fitness mania swept to Washington, and Stash joined Robert Kennedy on a grueling 50-mile hike through Florida. To commemorate it, he gave Jackie a gold Cartier tank watch engraved with the feet, a memento that became part of Kennedy family legend. But the marriage was stormy. Affairs, temper, and control poisoned their love. They divorced in 1974, and Stash died 2 years later. Lee later confessed, "He gave me a crown, but never peace." The wild years, from Turville to the Savannah. After her royal chapter ended, Lee embraced Bohemian freedom. Her affair with photographer Peter Beard in the 1970s was unlike anything in her past. Beard, a fearless adventurer, artist, and friend of Warhol and the Rolling Stones, whisked her away to Kenya, where she posed barefoot beside elephants, holding a rifle, laughing at danger. Friends said she loved him for his recklessness. Their relationship was both intoxicating and destructive. "He made me feel alive, and that was dangerous," she told a confidant. When it ended, Lee retreated to Manhattan, and her world of order and silk returned. Hollywood marriage and the ghost between them. In 1988, Lee surprised society again by marrying acclaimed Hollywood director Herbert Ross, the man behind Footloose and The Turning Point. It seemed like stability at last. But Ross was haunted by the memory of his first wife, ballerina Nora Kay. "If someone mentioned her name," he cried, Lee once admitted. They lived between Los Angeles and New York, but Lee grew to hate the plastic glamour of Hollywood. Their marriage ended in divorce in 2001. The same year, Ross died. It was her third and final attempt at love. The son who carried the dynasty and died too soon. Anthony Radziwill, Lee's son, was born into nobility but earned his own place in America's story. A Harvard graduate and Emmy-winning television producer, he worked for ABC News on Primetime Live and 2020, admired for his discipline and quiet intelligence. In 1994, he married journalist Carol DeFalco, and they became New York's golden couple, sophisticated yet grounded. But Anthony was battling cancer, a secret he kept even from many friends. In July 1999, his cousin John F. Kennedy Jr. died in a plane crash. Just 3 weeks later, Anthony passed away at age 40. For Lee, it was the final blow. "2 funerals in one summer," she whispered, and no one left to remember the laughter. The daughter who chose silence. Anna Christina Tina. Radziwill, Lee's only daughter, inherited her mother's elegance but avoided fame entirely. Born in 1960, she married investment banker Ottavio Arancio in 1999, the same year her brother died. They divorced in 2005, and she never remarried. Reserved and private, Tina has no children, meaning the Radziwill-Bouvier line, one of America's most storied families, ends with her. The last Bouvier standing. When Lee Radziwill died in February 2019 at 85, her apartment on East 72nd Street in Manhattan was like a museum. Shelves of first editions, letters from Truman Capote, photos from Vogue shoots, and the lingering scent of her favorite perfume, Balmain's Ivoire. In the end, there were no titles, no heirs, just history. "Jackie was the legend," she once said. "I was the echo."